Welcome, everybody. My name is Star. Yes, it is my real name, and I am here to help you grow your leadership faster without having to read all those millions of books or take all those courses, to give you some seeds really fast that will help you learn, practice, grow to get to the next level. I am a leadership coach, and I worked in the corporate world for many years. Um, Leadership seeds. It's all about you, the busy leader who has no time. And you want the latest and greatest and the classic. We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And how can you apply that? So I'm going to give you three things that get in the way and what you can do right away to start on this journey, and tell you about how I can help you with that. My goal is to find the seeds for you. It's what I do. It's what I've been doing my whole career and what I've been doing with hundreds of clients. So you can find those seeds and get them really fast and say, oh yeah. And I'm going to give you some examples too. Okay. So the agenda, here's the three things. What are the top ways that leader can find whatever it is, the latest, the greatest, the classics, methods, tools, techniques, whatever it is, that seed that's going to work for you, without having to sift through as many as I have, because I am a leadership junkie. And then how do you adapt and apply them to you and your situation? Because everyone is unique. And how can you learn in advance when you are? I recognize we are overwhelmed, overwork, dealing with uncertainty and complexity and all sorts of chaos that's out there. Here's what I believe. Here's what I know. One size does not fit all with leadership. Leadership is not static. You cannot be the leader that you were 6 months ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. The more you advance in an organization, the fewer spots and the fewer role models. Rarely is there one person that a leader can learn everything from. The science on leadership is evolving fast. One of the examples is neuroscience. If you know anything about that, or neuroscience is a relatively new science, and it's taking real data, real science and leadership. It is not fluffy. It is not woo-woo. It is learnable and growable, okay? Cultures need to change. The theories of leadership change. The example I can give you, motivation theory, I started studying that in college in the 80s, okay? And we all know about Maslow's hierarchy. You know, you have to have security before you can become entitled and evolve. Now, then we went to Daniel Pink with drive, and it was not push, pull, carrot, stick doesn't work. There needs to be internal drive. Drive was a book he wrote, motivation. Now we've even gone beyond Daniel Pink's, which was what, maybe 10 years ago, to engagement in leadership and who you really are, authentic leadership. It is the way, by advancing in your career, by finding those seeds and staying on top of who you are and what's going on in the world, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. The world is getting smaller and leadership needs to get bigger. Okay, why now? Why now? So many reasons. You know, it depends where you are. We are in a post-COVID world. AI is going to transform the world. I'm fascinated by what's going on there. It is easier to quit than transform. So why not transform the way you want to and what works for you? The best leaders, I know this, the best leaders learn from the hard stuff and aren't afraid to lean into the uncomfortable. Performance becomes critical in a recession or a rapid growth period. Okay. There's a whole bunch of baby boomers, including myself, that are going to retire in the next 10 years. So there are going to be leadership jobs opening up. And we know a new type of leadership is needed. We need some of those older people, including myself, to get out of the way. So I'm out of the way. I want to help you get in there. And we know that leadership is a big, big word. There are over 850 definitions of leadership, according to leadership expert Warren Bemis. There are hundreds of models, according to the HR Institute, and Amazon currently lists 60,000 books. And we know there's a lot more, and it's been around since the age of city-state people, whatever. Okay, so why me? Why should you even listen to me? Because my name is Star? No, that's just is my given name. but I was a corporate leader and I wish I had this. I learned it all the hard way. When I read this, it's like, oh, wish I had known that. Wish I had known that. It's almost like I'm working my career backwards. And I recognize there are some leadership gems and seeds that changed my style and my career trajectory. One of those books was The 7 Habits. I am a top Amazon reviewer of books. I read hundreds and hundreds of books every year. There's over 100 on my Kindle. I teach, and I've been writing leadership articles and books for decades after that career where I messed everything up and did some amazing things too. And I'm working on my second book about my leadership stance foundation is about positivity, gratitude, leading from that point of view as a foundation. That's what I believe. May not be what you believe, but this is why I am putting this out here. Is I want to help you because I believe in abundance. So we're going to cover what we're going to cover that I hope will be immediately useful for you that you can take away is what are the top ways that you learn, leaders learn? Can you look at any of these and maybe try something? If you don't, how can you customize all this material, even what I'm giving to you, to make it less cookie cutter? And how can you learn and apply even when you're overwhelmed, stressed, and have too much going on? Those are the 3 points that we want to cover. So I want you to find them fast. I'm going to deep dive into some of the classics, leadership challenges, what got you here won't get you there, and some new stuff. How do we lead in the world of AI? What's going on there? How do you take it, adapt it, apply, redirect, apply? I'm going to help you. I know one size does not fit all. So we've got to find what works for you. What I don't want you to be, I don't want you to be John, Jane, Jose Doe. I don't want you to be that leader who basically at the end of your career say, oh, if I had only, if I had taken this, if I had done this. Sadly, I'm working with a handful of people that are at that. They had wished they had done these things, learned these things, including me for some of these 20 years earlier, 10 years ago. Don't be that person who's stuck in the same job forever. Find out who you are as a leader and learn how to get there. What I will make observations, general observations, and if you can see yourself doing any of these, you might be a stuck leader. I don't want you to be a stuck leader. Are you constantly reacting? That's someone who's stuck. Do you only take the leadership training that your company offers? It can be brilliant and great. However, one size does not fit all. Do you learn stuff and not apply it? Do you blame others? Are you a victim for your circumstances? Well, it's the industry. Well, if that person didn't do that or that person, I see that a lot, sadly. Do you just follow the latest leadership fad? May not be for you and not get results. Are you part of that distraction economy? we're shiny objects. I'm definitely I'm part of that too. I'm working on that. Do you know what your top challenges are? This is what I see is that goes with the shiny objects. Distraction is, oh, it could be this, it could be that. But what's really important before you embark on any leadership is that you understand who you are and what these 2 things, these 3 things, these 5 things, whatever they are, you do those things. And that will make all the difference in the world. That will be your transportation. And sometimes we just focus on the low hanging fruit that's really easy to do. Oh, if I just say yes, and sometimes it can help, but it's generally not all. We need to go a little bit deeper at times. What I do know, leaders who advance fast, they know who they are as a leader. They know this is what they want. And in order for me to be a leader in the nonprofit, I need to learn to work with volunteers. In order to be a leader in a product company, I need to be innovative. So they know who they are. And actually, that's one of the bonuses I have. They're clear on what they want to improve on, their top 3 communication strengths. If you don't talk to thousands of people, but your one-on-one is great, they regularly spend time in reflection and apply and reapply. If you listen to any of the top leaders in the world, they have regular think time, regular reflection, regular meditation. Do you do any of these things? If not, that might be something you want to start with. And they have a structure. The structure could be 15 minutes at the beginning of the day, 3 things at the end of the day, and they have people to keep them accountable. I'll go so far as to say Marshall Goldsmith, for example, has someone who calls him at the end of the day. Did you do this? Did you do that? 3 questions, 5 minutes. Now, that's great if you can do that. If not, do you have a buddy? Do you have a partner? Do you have a whatever it is to help you keep accountable to your structure? I have another woman you can read about on my blog who has four, she calls them gratitude buddy leaders. But they sort of support each other every morning with pictures. Leaders who advance fast, they ensure that the training they take aligns the areas they want to improve. They know who the leaders are in their field and they look and see what they're doing. And if it works or doesn't work, just don't copy them, but what can I do? And because my background is engineering, I work with a lot of brilliant, smart technical people. They have figured out how to overcome analysis paralysis. I could think about something for years or months or days and analyze it to death. What's good enough to make a decision on going forward or what I'm going to do? They have mentors, people they can call at the drop of a hat and say, hey, my boss was just laid off. What do I do? People who give them honest, constructive, helpful feedback when they want it. I'm kind of sick of the feedback when you don't want it. Okay, that's leaders who advance first. So if you look at these, can you think of, is there any way any of these could be you where you might be stuck, or do you take on any of these habits in terms of, who you are, the top 3 things that you need to do to get better. You have a structure, accountability, you have a mentor, you can observe, who the top people in your fields are, and you have a way to get constructive feedback, okay? Here's 3 examples of leadership seeds. These are from clients that I worked with. They may sound like nothing to you, and you may already do this, but for them, these seeds, these things that I gave to them, they worked, I told them about based on stuff, they took them to heart, changed their behavior, and it changed their leadership trajectory. It was transformational. I love this first story. It's so simple, is that this was a leader who was accused of talking too much, being arrogant, and he was brilliant. They should have all just listened to him, but they didn't listen to him because they didn't think they were being listened to. So this was the gem, the seed. When someone's talking, count to 10 and just listen. So he got quiet. He learned to get quiet. And then all of a sudden he realized people are saying really great stuff. He's now gone from sort of first level manager to senior director, ready to go to VP at this point in a technical career. Another seed was this question. This question, it sounds so simple again, and maybe you already do this, but this was a CTO type of person. And he was totally motivated by technology and he knew what motivated him, but he had a very small team and they weren't like him. So he had to ask that simple question. By asking that simple question over and over, what motivates you right now with that technology in your career, in your job, today, this week? He engaged his staff and was able to solve problems of how to get them in the right place in the right time to get them going forward. And the other one, this was a bigger one and it took a long time, and I'll raise my hand. This was me too. But I've also passed it on to a whole bunch of coaching clients. I dare you to catch me saying no or the word but. So instead of no, I'll change it to yes. And can you do this? Oh, yes, that sounds like interesting work. And right now I'm busy doing this. See, I didn't say no to the work. I said what was going on. And I said, and not but. Okay. So what it does, it creates positive, approachable interactions in your vocabulary. For me, it took me about 3 to 5 years to do that. And for me, it was a game changer. So those are some examples of when people knew what their top challenges were and they were given some seeds and they figured out how to apply them. It changed the trajectory of their leadership. Okay. So here's the exercise. If you want to stop the tape to get to some of those things, what are your top 3 things? So it's the end of your career. You're wildly successful in leadership. What is the top skill or tip that you attribute? Okay. And once you know that, then you can start looking for the tips, the gems, the seeds that will help you transform and get there. Can you find them? Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, second point, So the first one is about, do you know what you're doing? Are you stuck or not stuck? Do you know what your challenges are? Second one, this is what I see over and over, and it is where leadership is going in the world. Can you be a more authentic leader and not a cookie cutter leader? One size to not fit all. And because of that, how do we really hone in what we need to hear? How do you become an expert in your leadership self? There is only one Oprah, one Martin Luther King, one insert your favorite leader. Leaders are square pegs, round hole. It's less stressful, you being you. That's why I recommend this one. People are more drawn to authenticity in leaders. You naturally gain followers. You don't have to work at it. It just happens. It's almost like someone said to me is, don't be afraid of people leaving you or leaving your newsletter list, because they're not the people that want to follow you or agree with you. You want the people that are naturally drawn to your style of leadership in the world that we do, other than managing people directly. That's a different story. And you are more productive, and it is more sustainable when you become an authentic leader. It's a buzzword, and it makes a whole lot of sense for productivity, less stress, and followers. So you got to ask yourself the question, why are people not more authentic? Because it's just easier, especially when you're starting out, to copy and mimic others. They don't have time to adapt and make it work. I see this all the time. I'm just too busy. I don't have time, Star. Or I see this too. They're not being situational. It's like, oh, we did this before. I've handled this. Especially the older you get, you tend to use the same tricks over and over. So you really have to step back and say, what's different about this situation? Will this work here? They don't know who they are. I see that a lot too. They've never been asked the question, who are you as a leader? Or they're afraid. This was definitely me. Afraid of speaking up or acting different or doing something out of turn. That may not be you, was me and some of the people I work with. Trying to fit in, and they don't want to offend anyone. Fear. Okay. So that's some of the reasons why they're not authentic. Okay. So what do authentic leaders do, and how might you be that? I know I'm a little bit, I know who I am. I'm kind of crazy, geeky, middle to older age women in a tech area, and I totally accept it now, but I didn't at first. The older I get, the more self-aware and more self-care. Wouldn't that be great though, if you could start that right out of the gate? And I know that we are teaching our children more and more about that, but start at day one. And if you're not, there was one year I waited 8 years before I went to the dentist. I didn't take care of myself. So what's your self-care? Authentic leaders take care of themselves. They are so clear on what they believe, their values, their strengths, and their challenges. They learn. They have what's called a growth mindset, how to apply and adapt. They accept, forgive, and build relationships. Like Ted Lasso said, be a goldfish. What does that mean to be a goldfish? A goldfish has a memory of about 30 seconds. It's in, it's gone. They seek out, get feedback. They have a regular practice of being you, being you. They have support, they have coaches, they have pals, they have mentors. So here's some leadership seeds, some gems that change when what we typically find in authenticity. You can be authentic inside your head. However, your behaviors don't naturally match what's inside your head. So finger pointing was one of the seeds that I early in the corporate world, I had a 360 done on me, and everyone on my staff said, she's really open, approachable, encouraging, positive, wants to bring people in. But when she points her finger, I feel like she's blaming me. I had a staff of over 100. And this was the feedback that stuck with me over 20 years. So my leadership gem was my behavior. I didn't see myself. People saw me as someone blaming, and I wasn't. I'm really not a blaming person, but the finger pointing was blaming and pushing back. So I had to change my external behavior of finger pointing. I don't point fingers anymore to match my internal authentic view of who I am. Okay. That was my gem that I learned, my seed that transformed my leadership. Another one, this is a person that I was coaching with in her head authentically, and she is a collaborator. She wants everyone's opinion so you can make a good decision. However, her behavior was walk into an office. I'm not going to leave until you tell me what you think. So it sounded very bossy, demanding, and aggressive. So what we had to do is peel back the behavior to more assertive, collaborative to get the answer, not demanding, so that who she was authentically matched the behavior. Here's the last one. This was a seed for me, and I'd say a handful of leaders I worked with. These are the leaders who are afraid to speak up, to be authentic, is that interrupting is okay, and it is required, and it can be done respectfully. So learning to do that, and I do have a technique, a 3-step technique for interrupting respectfully. So those are 3 seeds that helped people align who they were authentically to the behaviors they were projecting externally, right? So that's why these seeds, these gems, it's important to see them and get to them fast, okay? Here's the exercise to try. So if you have time, turn off or stop the recording. List a leader that you admire. What behaviors, that's what we're looking for, sayings, words, behaviors, do you admire and are unique to them? Do they point their finger? Do they shake their head? Do they say, oh, it's always this, it's always that? Whatever. For me, it's a lot about positivity and grateful, but what is it that they do? And how does that make them unique and authentic? And then you can start looking for your catchphrases and your behaviors too. So one of my favorites is Big Bird. So we're going to talk a little bit about, let me go back to that slide actually. So list a leader that you admire. So here, I'll tell you, Big Bird is one of mine, okay? I recently started watching with my 2-year-old grandson, Sesame Street. So here's an answer to potentially a leader that you admire. Big Bird is 7 feet tall. And yet his words, his behavior, he's kind, he's approachable, he's always happy, right? Here's a saying that Big Bird says. He says, asking questions is a good way of finding things out. So that's an example of how you might answer this question, okay? So here's the last part. This is the third part. If this is you, this is for you. You're too busy, too stressed, overwhelmed, deadlines, you're reactive, there's no time. So take a deep breath. And if you remember, point 1, successful leaders find time somehow. Successful leaders have a structure. It's a discipline to constantly say, what are the top things I need to do? And what am I going to do? So that's where I really want to help you. How can I help you get to these fast? You know, so you're not wasting hours and hours and hours reading those 600,000 leadership books or all that sort of stuff. So why are people reactive? Because, well, for me, I'm a responsible person. I have a deadline. I have a commitment. I'm responsible to others. I don't care of myself. I don't care. I was overly responsible. I didn't take care of myself. You don't need to accept everything. There's something called, I learned this along the way. This was a bit of a seed for me, is I love the saying, selective neglect. Know what you're not doing. Consciously don't do what you're not doing so you can focus on what's important. When you need more clarity on what you're doing, that's when you're about to transform. So let's say more on that. So how do they find the time? How do you find the time? That is the question here. It's all about mindset, mind shit. Mind shift. Yeah, that's really good. I'm going to base on that. Getting rid of the mind shit so that you can mind shift to put yourself first. As Warren Buffett said, invest in yourself first. That's part of the mind shift, getting rid of the mind shit. I'll have to maybe think about that some more. Warren Buffett said, invest in yourself first. That was a mind shift. There's something called finitude. It's a big word. We only have X number of weeks in our career, in our life. Use them wisely. For me, I used Stephen Covey's priority grid. It's a 4-square grid. This was the mind shift that helped me find time to focus on myself and changed me from being an engineering tech leader to leadership coach is what was important and not urgent. I was always ignoring the quadrant, important, not urgent. Now I focus on that first. Okay. And there is some discipline to integrate what skills you want to learn with the now. So figure out, how can you integrate? I want to learn how to interrupt respectfully more. How do I do that with the current responsibilities I have? So there is a mind shift, and there's a little bit of discipline about integrating what you want to learn with what's going on now. And I help a lot of clients with that. It is possible. Okay. There's lots of techniques: time blocking, book time with yourself, turn up notifications, a million techniques. Find some that work for you. Set daily goals, intentions. I always do that. What is it for today, this week, this month? And always come back to it. I call it the look up, look up. When you're down here in the weeds and you're being reactive, look up. Okay. Hire a coach. Reason being is, I see this with a lot of clients is, oh, I have to talk to Star on Thursday. Oh, she gives me homework every week. Oh, I have to be accountable. So I help any coach, I'm just supporting any coach. Coaches help you be accountable to you. Okay. They help you grow where you need to grow. Okay. So that's how people find the time. Here are some leadership seeds related to this finding the time. So this was a busy leader. This leader knew that they needed to meditate and slow down. And what did she do? During COVID, she actually started a meditation group that's still going on today. So instead of just saying, oh, I need to meditate, she found 4 or 5 other people. And so there's this responsibility. It's like, I don't know, 8 a.m. every morning for 20 minutes. They log in on Zoom, they meditate, and they go on their way. So it was sort of integrating her work with what she was doing. Here's another one. This was from a long time ago from one of my very first coaching clients. She got wrapped in the details all the time, in the details. Her seed, her gem that helped her move forward. Every time she clicked her pen, she would look up and say, oh, what's important here? What's important? Not the reaction. Okay. There's another technique called stacking. I've done this with other clients and they've taken this too, is that when you move and walk, it changes your mindset to be more open, different, be more innovative, grateful. So when I can, the weather's nice here, I will actually do a walk and coaching. Walking in a beautiful nature setting. There's actually a rail trail near some of my clients. We'll do that. It changes. It creates a more meditative state. So we're doing 2 things: getting exercise and changing their state, and getting coaching done. So you can sometimes stack. When I was younger, I used to jog at lunch, and I would make, this was me, and wouldn't do this anymore, but I would make people jog with me and have my one-on-ones. It's so busy. Don't do that anymore. But can you use some of these techniques? And would that make a difference for you while you're really, really busy? So here's where you stop again. What's one thing that you did or can do to help you stick to something, transform, and change? How can you find, of all the tips and techniques I just gave you, I gave you 3 examples of real people and how people found time to make that happen. What one thing might you do that you could stick with? So go ahead and answer that. All right. So let me quick summarize. What I've talked about are 3 things. It's all about improving your performance and getting to those seeds fast. That will help you transform. Don't wait 30 or 20 years. Don't be John, Jane, Jose Doe. It's about constantly growing, constantly learning, and there will be something that will dramatically shift and change you and your leadership performance. So we talked about the top ways leaders learn and advance. They know who they are. They know what they need to do. How do you customize, adapt that material to you to be more authentic and less cookie cutter? We talked about that. And how can you learn and apply them even when you're overwhelmed? We talked about 3 or 4 different techniques to stack them up. And I gave you an example from clients on each of these. Okay, so that's what this is about. That's what Leadership Seeds, Leadership Gems is about, finding that raw material that you can grow. So what I am offering, here's what I'm offering, and I would love to have you join me on this, either live or recorded. So every month, and I am so proud of myself. I've been doing this now for 7 months, and I hope to do this until I can't do it anymore. So there are 7 recordings in the can already, so to speak. So monthly Leadership Seeds is for your fast learning. It's once a month, the third Friday of the month at noon Eastern time. You can attend once, that's all. $20 to attend once. And you can be there live or get the recording. And there's something like 10 different bonuses that are out there right now. Or you can buy 12 consecutive months for $199. So that's like a saving of 2 months, or a recurring subscription. So we have 3 different levels that you can do this, whatever works for you. Why Leadership Seeds? Save time, less stress, be proactive. Don't be that person who doesn't grow and learn as a leader. Let me help you deep dive into classics and new leadership. I'm very excited about, I'm on a change kick right now. The next, I think 6 months are all about change. I have classics. What got you here won't get you there. What is it? The Neuroscientist in the Brain Lab. I have Brain Games. I have AI one that just came out this year. And then I have one on personal change. So I have 6 different books on change and leaders coming up to the end of December 2023. I have all scoped out. You can see them on the website. This is about you getting there faster and sustainable success. You want to find and know what your seeds are without reading hundreds of books, taking hundreds of courses. I'm going to spoon feed you these. And actually, the last one I did, here's what someone said that they really liked about the Leadership Gems seeds. Is I like that you had the theory and you gave me the actual words to say. So it's practical with actionable words, statements to say. Which I that's what I'm all about. Practical, real, measurable. Take them fast and run with them. Make them work for you. Because we know that the leaderships who don't build the skills, there's regret. Sadly, I'm talking to a handful of them probably every couple months. Same job, same skills, no advancement, because there's only so many spots. And they work on what's called below the line leadership. They're blaming, defensive. Oh, it's that fault. It's this fault. They're really not living up to who they are as a leader. And I'm laughing about this last bullet point here. I've heard a couple people say that, I don't want to work for that 20-year-old kid, that 30-year-old kid. It's perfectly fine. I have no problem with it. And if that bothers you, then you better start learning and applying. So basically learn and apply in a very fun, easy, less stressful way, while being more caring, uplifting yourself. And the emphasis is really on creating sustainable and positive leaders and cultures. It is not selfish doing this. It is self-care, because the world needs to see you, your authentic style and ideas more than ever now. Totally, totally. So please consider joining me either live or the recordings, because we do have an interactive, I'm using a Padlet board. So even if you can't join the live recordings, you can be interactive for like 100 days after the session and add comments and do the exercises like I did here. This is for leaders who want to advance faster with limited time, who are willing. You have to be willing to try something new. I don't want to just talk. I want people to take something and learn something. And it is available for in-house corporate. We can make it very specific to your needs. Contact me, we'll have a chat, and I will send you a proposal. It is not for people who don't believe that they need to improve their skills. It is not for those who want to do the reading and application themselves. It's not for people who are not willing to try something new. And if you're okay with things how they are, yay, all the best to you. I wish you the best of luck. This is not for you. So the benefits, again, save time, save money, less stress, have fun, learn fast, go deeper, build skills, find your gem, find your seeds, find that thing that you can grow and blossom. Here's what's included right now. I kind of changed this up a little, but right now it is once a month, a live gathering. And each month I'll focus on something different. There's a whole bunch of bonuses that I include, and I do change them up because I've actually added something since this slide. But there will always be the leadership doing and being. This will help you. Remember the first thing, who are you as a leader? What skills do you need to focus on? And what's your brand? So this really sets you up so that when you get into the gems, you can target right exactly what you need. And because I believe in gratitude, have written a book on gratitude. I have a whole host of gratitude, how to develop a grateful culture, how to assess where you are, how to grow your gratitude, ideas for gratitude practice. And I actually included my whole gratitude journal, the PDF of it. You can order the real copy online on Amazon. It's not that, it's like $10, I think. And there's a bunch of added value. I've actually added a free book too. It's called Change Friendly Leadership. You can get a hard copy of that if you want, thanks to the author, Dr. Roger Dean. And again, there's recordings and an interactive board. So that's what I'm offering you once a month to join me. So we do have the first 6. Those recordings are already there. You can listen to these books already about time management, grit, emotional intelligence. April is an all-time favorite with my coaching clients, 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, Extreme Ownership. Each one I learn something from and bring back into the coaching practice with my leaders, and Fixing Feedback. I forgot about this part. This is the part. What's prompted this whole seeds, gems? I realized that ask this question of yourself. Was there a book that changed your life? Is there a book that made a profound difference? And people say, well, it didn't change my life, but it made a difference. So that's kind of where this is coming from. So for example, an introverted business owner, very successful, high-end coach, when she read Quiet by Susan Cain, it's all about introverted leadership, she realized that she was making her life difficult because she wasn't direct and she was quiet. So she learned to speak up. This was the book that changed her business career. Okay. This is so funny. When I asked, this was a almost 28-year-old and a 58-year-old. I asked them that question, what books change your life? And it was so funny because it was the extremes in the working world. The older 58, 60-year-old person said, this book taught me how to ask questions and be curious instead of having the answers all the time. And the 28 said, this very likable professional adult said, it taught me how to get along with people. I was never taught how to get along with people. So that one book sort of spanned a lifetime when I asked that question. Asking the question again, what book changed your life? This was Nickel and Dime. This was really interesting. This was a book that opened this person's eyes because they were sort of privileged, entitled, high level. They never had any idea about the other side, someone who's living paycheck to paycheck. And it was really visible, shaking to her, is that she's now a big tipper. She now volunteers and gives back a lot. She did before, but this sort of like cemented it in. This is a book that changed a businesswoman's life, the E-Myth. You can be, here's the part of the E-Myth that changed it. You can be the best pie maker, but until you know how the business of selling pies works, you're not going to be successful. So you've got to be a business owner to sell your content or find someone to do it for you, essentially. And the last one, this is a personal story because these are my children, my kids. I asked them that question. I have 2 boys. I said, what are the books that made an impact on your life? And the first one was The Inner Game of Tennis. I gave it to my son when he was young, playing, I think, junior high school hockey. He was a goalie. And as a goalie, there's people shooting pucks at you really fast. and it's really depressing because they score on you and you can win or lose the game. People blame, I remember sitting in the hockey stands and a parent came up to me saying, it's not your son's fault we lost the game. Like they were really blaming me because he's the goalie. I'm thinking, And I didn't realize goalies thought that way. So he read this book and he began to learn how to shake it off. And he went on and he had a shutout like 3 or 4 weeks later after doing this book with a division that was like way higher than him. We were like Division 7. They were like Division 2 or something. So it made a big difference in how he looked at and thought about things as an athlete. And the the other book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I gave it to both of my boys. And this book, the principles in it, my older son lives by, and he has leveraged his money. He's now into real estate. He has his real estate license, and he works a full-time job, and it's sort of his background gig. It has made all the difference in his sort of financial life, and he keeps extra copies around to hand out to his friends. Okay, so not everything from every book, but there are gems, there are seeds and pieces in books that have changed people's lives. That's what I want for you. That's what I want to help you do. So there's the sign up, there's the dates. It's Leading with Gratitude, Monthly Leadership Gems. I will put it in the notes here. So I would love to see you either one-on-one or as a corporation. Let me know, and we will work something out for you. And I think that's all I have to say. That's an example of the Padlet board for Gems #1 we did back in January 2023. I hope to see you at some point in the future. And meanwhile, remember, I am Star. I will put some notes out there. I would love to talk to you about this. I am looking for 2024. I have all the books picked. For 2024, I'm looking for suggestions, and I would love to get your suggestions on what to do. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you at